Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my foundation routine, and really it's just, my full face routine, I guess. And throughout it I'm just going to talk about how I do it and kind of what I do before it too. So yeah, I hope you enjoy and keep watching to see how I get this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kind of tell you guys what I do before foundation, before I go in with my actual makeup. I try not to do too much as far as skincare and stuff like that. I kind of just use daily washes. My skin is pretty sensitive, and so anything kind of irritates it. More on the oilier side, so I tend to stick to matte products. That's one thing that you should always kind of just focus on, is kind of get to know your skin better, how it works and what works with it. I just kind of do light products since I am oily. I don't like to do too much or add too much and then later have it be cakey and just a mess. So that's the only thing that I always recommend, is just kind of knowing your skin and working with it. Before I go in with makeup, I wash my face just with any facial wash or soap, whatever works best for you. I do try to exfoliate 2 to 3 times a week, just so my skin isn't building up dead skin or bacteria and stuff like that. But that's the usual skincare that I do. And so after all my washing my face and stuff like that, I just go with a light moisturizer and a primer. Now the primer that I use, it's just the Fenty Beauty primer. It's the Pro Filter, and this kind of mattifies my skin and it fills in my pores, which is exactly what I want. Before foundation, you just kind of want to look for a primer that is gonna help you with your with the way your makeup looks. I used to never use primer, but I realized that it does do a big difference. Especially for me, if I have oily skin. This will kind of just control the oils, and it just makes my makeup last for a longer period of time. I already have this on just for the sake of the video, and I already have my eyebrows done because that's not really what we're focusing on. So I'll just go ahead and start with okay, so the foundation I'm using today is Makeup Forever Ultra HD. Usually I wouldn't go in with this one. This used to be my favorite, but now it's the Fenty Beauty one, and it just works a lot better than this one, I feel like. But I ran out of the other one, so we're just using this one today. Alright, so when you're doing your foundation, it's really just preference if you want to use a sponge, a beauty sponge, or a brush. I used to never want to use a sponge just because I thought I never got full coverage, or the coverage I wanted. But lately I feel like it gives a more seamless blend, and it doesn't leave streaks of the bristles of the brush. So it's, as far as how you want to apply foundation, that's kind of up to you. So now if you have any problem areas that you'd like to get more coverage, then you can definitely just kind of build up your foundation to cover those areas. Mine are kind of just my cheeks where I have the most scarring, so I go in with a little bit more and just kind of try to cover them as much as I can, without it looking too much or too cakey. But you still want to make sure that you blend everything out. So now I'm just gonna go in with concealer. I like to go in with all my cream products and then go in with my powder after. So because I have oily skin, I tried to not use as many cream products just because they make me too hydrating on my face, so that accentuates the oils. For the concealer, I use the Naked Skin Weightless Concealer. And I really like this concealer just because it is like really light and it's hydrating, but it's not like crazy hydrating. I don't know how to explain it. But it like doesn't crease or anything, because I know like a lot of concealers tend to be kind of drying and stuff. Now when I go in with my concealer, I do go in with a couple shades lighter than my actual skin tone, just to kind of like highlight the high points of your face. This just kind of brings back like your face dimensions. So I like to go in with a lighter concealer under my eyes and kind of like the higher points of my face. Alright, and now for to set my concealer, I'm just going to go in with the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. And I'm taking the shade Lyric. It's more like a yellow undertone powder. It's pretty much gone, but so when I go in with like a lighter shade under my eyes and like my forehead and stuff like that, I like to do that just because it like brings everything together. If you're more on the drier side, I probably wouldn't recommend to set everything with powder. Obviously you can skip this part, but because I'm not, I have to. So since I set, you know, all my concealer, I'm just gonna set the rest of my face, like my foundation and stuff, with a translucent powder. I like to do this step just so it gives a barrier between my cream products and my powder products. It'll just like make sure your contour goes on nicely, like powder on powder instead of like powder on cream. Then it'll most likely just look patchy, just because it'll like hang on to the creamier parts and just not blend right. Now the powder I'm using is just a translucent powder. It's a loose setting powder by Dermablend. So now that we have all that set, I'm going to go in with contour. And for contour, I'm using, again, the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. And it's the shade Shadow Play. I used to just bronze, and I never really contoured because I thought it was like the same thing. But it actually isn't. The shades for contouring are usually more like on the cooler side, instead of like a warm contour, just because obviously that's not right. So it doesn't look natural, I guess. Because again, you're giving your face back the features that you kind of lost between like the foundation process and all that. So yeah, so kind of if you're like wondering or just like wanting to kind of perfect the contouring, if I were giving you advice, like it'd be to kind of just to go in like with both like contouring and bronzer, because it honestly makes a difference and it just makes it look that much better. And so where I contour is just on my cheeks, a little bit like on down my neck, not really my neck, but more like, you know, the bottom of my face, just so it doesn't look off or weird if like I'm contoured here and like my temples and like not right here. Now another thing for contouring, you want to stay kind of like below the high points of your cheeks, because you don't want to like get in the way of where your highlight is going to be. Alright, so now that I did that, now I'm going to go in with bronzer. The bronzer I always like to use is the NARS Laguna bronzer. It's like warm, but it's not like too like reddish. I've used a lot of bronzers that are like, that have like a lot of a red undertone, and it just looks like, I don't know, it looks weird to me and I don't like it. But this doesn't give that. It just gives like a more warmer shade of brown, and I just really like it. Just kind of dust this on like where I put the contour, and then on my cheeks I just kind of go a little bit higher than what I did with my contour. So I usually don't go in with blush, just kind of like when I feel like it and when I don't. But when I do, I use this Tarte blush, and it is in the shade Party. Alright, it's so Party. It's really pink. Well, it's like more on the pinkier side, so I don't go in with a lot. just because I don't really like blush. It just kind of makes a difference. Like a little bit makes a difference, and that's like enough for me. And this just, I kind of just focus it like on the apples on my cheeks, and I just kind of like bring it up, and again just kind of like dusting it on. I don't like to go on with a lot. Alright, so now that I have everything down, like all my face stuff down, I'll go in with Fix Plus. I just spray kind of like where I put on my highlighter. So, and it's just kind of like right here. You'll see kind of how I spray it. Alright, so after I go in with that facial spray, I, again, because I'm oily, I don't like to go in with a lot just because it's super hydrating, and if I go in with too much, it'll just, you know, be too much. But I do spray it on, before I go in with my highlight on my brush, and then sometimes after, but usually I don't need it. But yeah, I'm just gonna go in with highlight but spray my brush before. Now by doing that, by spraying your brush, what you're doing is just giving that like hydration to your powder. Your brush is just gonna, instead of like going in as like very powdery, it's gonna go more like dewy, I guess, and it'll look more natural. It'll look more like of a glow instead of like a shimmer. For my highlighter, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills So Hollywood. For my skin tone, I like to go in with more golden highlighters. There's like a lot of pinkier shades or like pearly shades, but I like to stick to golden just because it goes well with, you know, darker complexions. Also, I like, for my highlighter, I like to bring it from like the top all the way to like the apples of my cheeks. I go like above my brow, on my nose, and then on my, like the top of my top lip, kind of like your cupid's bow, and then a little bit on the side of my chin. Just kind of get anywhere like the sun hits your face. Okay, now that I did my highlighter, I'm just gonna go in with a couple more sprays of the Fix Plus. This will just kind of make everything like just look a little bit more healthy and just give you like that glowy look. Again, I don't like to go in with too much just because it'll make my face like pretty oily if I don't just go in with a little bit. Alright, so that's this is like the finished routine, I guess. It really just comes down to the way your skin is and what works best with your skin. So as long as you just kind of take the time to get to know it and see what products work best for you or what doesn't, that's really what it is. This is what just works best for me, and I really like the way it looks. It's like an everyday, like it's a everyday look that it's, you know, the easiest, the fastest, and everything. So this is the last video of this project. I hope it was, you know, you guys learned some new like techniques of how to do makeup, or at least that you learned, you know, just something little, I don't know, like the way you blend eyeshadow or the way you should prep your skin, or, you know, stuff like that. From like those 3 series of videos that I did, I really hope that you just kind of picked up any new tips or techniques on the way you do your makeup now. Just the time to, you know, watch the videos meant a lot. So again, thank you for watching this video and the other 2 if you did. If you didn't, you can go ahead and watch those if you like. They're pretty interesting, pretty nice looks, if I may say so. But yeah, thank you so much just for sticking around for this project and supporting it. We both really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you really like this video.